The pink paint that the bully had placed earlier suddenly exploded from Sam's locker, staining the image of Sam and his father, causing him to angrily charge at the bully. John's palm began to glow again, but he struggled to control his emotions, trying to stay calm and leave the scene. The movie opens in the quiet night of a dense forest, where two men are hiding. The tense atmosphere is broken when one of them hears a strange sound coming from the darkness. One man grabs a machete and moves toward the sound to investigate, but suddenly, both are ambushed by strange creatures. Amidst the fierce pursuit by the monsters, the young man known as Number 3 desperately tries to find a way to escape, but all his efforts are halted when the Mogadorian commander appears, coldly taking his necklace. Without hesitation, he ends the young man's life right there. His body disintegrates into dust, merging with the atmosphere. With a victorious look in his eyes, the commander adds the necklace to his collection, a clear sign that Number 3 was just one of many victims before him. The story shifts to John Smith, also known as Number 4, as he enjoys a carefree moment under the ocean with his friends. That night, while swimming with a girl, his leg suddenly starts to glow, causing intense pain that forces him to cry out. In the chaos, he sees the image of Number 3, who appears to warn him of an impending danger. This strange scene doesn't go unnoticed by those around him. They not only mock him as a freak, but also record the entire incident. John wakes up on the beach and is helped by a man named Henri. Both John and Number 3 are young men with supernatural abilities, each assigned a devoted protector whose job is to safeguard them from deadly dangers. When Henri sees the strange wound on John's leg, he immediately realizes that Number 3 has been killed. Immediately, Henri takes John away from the beach house, quickly erasing all traces, including destroying photos taken with his friends. On the way, John reveals that he and 8 other children with supernatural abilities escaped from the planet Lorien when it was invaded by the Mogadorians, or Mog for short, the terrifying, bald extraterrestrial creatures they had encountered earlier. Since the Mog must kill the children in order, the scars on John's leg prove that Number 1, 2, and 3 have been killed. Now John becomes the next target of the enemy, and Henri immediately provides him with a new identity, reminding him to live in hiding, but decide to move to an old house in Paradise, Ohio to ensure their safety. There John happens to discover a poster of football star Bernie Kosar. At the same time, a small lizard secretly follows them to the house. Fearing danger, Henri quickly starts removing any traces on social media to avoid the Mog's pursuit. Suddenly, both of them are startled by a strange noise outside, and the lizard transforms into a dog. John decides to keep it and names it Bernie Kosar. At first, Henri opposed the decision to keep the dog, but John insisted that it was just an ordinary animal and nothing to worry about. That night, Henri secretly hid a mysterious box inside the wall clock, which John was unaware of. This box was meant for John, left behind by his father before he passed away, and he would only be able to open it at the right moment. Meanwhile, Number 6 arrived at the cabin to find John, but when she got there she found no one. She decided to burn the box, and after a large explosion, it turned out that the girl was actually fireproof. The next morning John changed his mind and insisted on going to school. He swore not to draw any attention, so Henri reluctantly handed him the phone and agreed to let him go out. When John arrived at school, he realized the dog had followed him all the way there. While waiting for class to start, he accidentally saw Sarah in the principal's office, as she had secretly taken a photo of a teacher in the classroom. He felt a strong attraction to her. The administrative staff asked Sarah to go with John to his locker. After that, Henri called John to check on him, but received no response. Mark and his group of friends approached John and introduced themselves. When Mark's friends left, John witnessed him bullying a nerdy boy named Sam and throwing his skateboard away. John decided to give the skateboard back to Sam and make friends with him. After school, John saw Sam being bullied by Mark again. In a fit of anger, he picked up a ball and threw it hard at one of Mark's classmates, knocking him to the ground. When things calmed down, John realized that Sarah was watching him, quietly taking pictures from a distance. That night, John accidentally discovered a website where Sarah kept all the photos of him, including a special album dedicated to him. Henri quickly deleted all of John's photos to avoid drawing attention and to keep anyone from discovering him. Meanwhile, Mog realized that Number 4 was still alive when he found the burned-down cabin. The next day in class, John's palm suddenly started to glow brightly, emitting an incredibly intense light known as lumen. Henri sensed this when he saw a similar light in the clock and immediately rushed to school. Panicking, John ran to the janitor's office and tried to turn off the lights. When Henri arrived, he reassured John, explaining that the light was a sign that his superpowers were beginning to awaken. Once they returned to the mansion, Henri informed John that he would become stronger and faster, and now was the time for him to learn how to control his powers. Henri warned John that he couldn't return to school until he learned how to control his powers. Fascinated by this new ability, John decided to show the dog, then sneaked out of the house through the window. He began testing his powers, throwing a rock through the ozone layer and performing impressive, graceful jumps. Meanwhile, the Mog commander went to the grocery store, buying everything in sight and feed to the giant monsters. Back with John, he unexpectedly ran into Sarai on the street, and the two of them took a walk together. During this time, they noticed Sam walking with his stepfather across the street. Sarah invited John over to her house for dinner and introduced him to her family. Sarah's parents told John that their daughter was passionate about photography and advised him to attend the town's night festival. After dinner, they went to her room and John accidentally discovered her scrapbook, which revealed that she didn't like being photographed. Fortunately, as he stayed longer, his dog unexpectedly appeared outside the house, barking incessantly, which forced him to leave. As he left, John noticed the school bully staring at him with envy. The next day in class, Sam curiously asked John what had happened to his hands, but John refused to share. When Sam advised his friend to stay away from Sarah, the pink paint that Mark had previously placed suddenly exploded from their locker. The paint splattered on the image of Sam and his biological father, causing him to angrily charge at the bully. John's palms began to glow again, but he tried to stay calm and left. While in the bathroom, Sam told him about his real father, who had been obsessed with aliens and mysteriously disappeared. Sam believes his father was abducted by aliens. Later, John happened to run into Sarah in the school hallway, but he decided to avoid her. Henri, who had researched Sam's father, visited an old factory where Sam's father had conducted experiments. There he discovered strange markings on the columns and an unusually glowing rock on the ground, known as a locator. Henri took the rock home and began studying it. Meanwhile, John was in his room when he received an invitation from Sarah to attend an event. At the Spring Screen Festival, Sarah revealed that she and Mark had once been a couple, but after they broke up, Mark intentionally exposed all of her secrets to others. Later, the two embarked on a creepy horse-drawn carriage ride through the forest. When they reached the next area, Hell's Gate, Mark and his group attacked them, charging at John while another friend kidnapped Sarah and took her to meet Mark. As Sam secretly followed them, John was forced to use his supernatural abilities. In the end, he saved Sarah and nearly broke Max's arm. Afterward, he and Sarah went home, and he finally received a kiss from her. John realized he had become stronger when he accidentally broke a street lamp with just his palm. Later, he visited Sam and revealed the truth about his origins, confirming that his father had been right all along. John warned Sam not to share this with anyone, as it could put both of them in danger, and Sam agreed. The next day, a local sheriff, later revealed to be Mark's father, came to John's house and interrogated him, accusing him of attacking his son. However, John denied it, insisting that he hadn't paid any attention to it. Henri felt proud of John as he saw him increasingly mastering his abilities. Soon after, a video capturing John screaming in pain in the ocean went viral, and Henri advised them to leave immediately since it couldn't be erased. However, because of his love for Sarah, John ignored the advice and refused to leave. The two began arguing and had a brief fight. Just minutes later, Henri was kidnapped, and John had to go to a specific location to rescue his protector. Together with Sam, John set out for the location. Once they arrived, he instructed Sam to follow a man while he snuck into a house, where he discovered a series of articles about missing people and eventually found Henri, who was immobilized. The kidnappers turned out to be two conspiracy theorists sent by the Mog. A Mog burst in and attacked them. As John and Sam managed to escape, Henri faced the alien. In the chaos, Sam lost the car keys and John had to use his powers to start the car. However, before they could drive away, the Mog appeared and stabbed Henri in the chest. As the car sped off, Henri handed John a knife and a special tracking device, revealing that Sam's father had used the stone to search for the surviving children from Lorien. Henri instructed John to find his fellow survivors before he died, as only by combining their powers could they stop the Mog forces. Able to capture John, the group of aliens went to the home of the conspiracy theorists and dealt with them using a deadly device for their failure. Meanwhile, the local sheriff infiltrated John's house and publicly declared him a terrorist. Sarah began to doubt and asked her boyfriend who he really was. While they were driving, Sam confessed that he owned another piece of the stone that his father had found during his search for aliens in Mexico. While Sam went to find Bernie, who helped him retrieve the stone from its hiding place, John stopped by Sarah's house to clear up any misunderstandings and say goodbye. The police stormed into the house, cornering John and Sarah on the rooftop. When Sarah stood up, she accidentally fell off the roof, but luckily, John used his telekinetic abilities to save her. He continued to demonstrate his powers when he was forced to use them to pull the police car closer. The two quickly escaped the pursuit and ran to the school. Meanwhile, Mog arrived in a convoy of trucks and confronted Mark and his father. The Mog commander threatened to force Mark to lead them to John. Sam informed his friend that Mog had surrounded the school. As they tried to escape, Number 6, also known as Jane, appeared with her special weapon and helped them fight against the alien invaders. The battle erupted, and Jane quickly used her agility to eliminate 2 of the aliens. Mog released their flying lizard, and Bernie unexpectedly transformed into a giant monster, terrifying Sam. Despite this, they eventually reunited, but the monster reappeared, causing destruction throughout the school. A wild Bernie appeared and fought alongside John against the flying lizard. After an intense battle, they finally defeated it, but Bernie was severely injured and gradually transformed back into the lovable dog he once was. While struggling, Jane asked John to use his light to attack her, and the two began fighting the Mog. Eventually, they managed to defeat it. Afterward, John, Jane, and Sam ran to the football field, where the commander and another monster were waiting. Thanks to their excellent teamwork, Jane and John quickly took down all the guards, almost killing the commander. However, Jane was captured by the monster, and John quickly helped her by using the lamp. In the end, Number 4 destroyed the commander with a powerful explosion. Luckily, both of them survived thanks to Jane's fire resistance. The next day, they successfully connected the green stones and discovered the remaining children of Lorien. Suddenly, Mark appeared and handed John Henry's mysterious box. Sam joins the group and John shares a farewell kiss with Sarah. Bernie, though injured, suddenly appears, and the group quickly leaves the town. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you didn't, press the dislike button twice to be sure. Be sure to watch the whole movie for the full experience. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more exciting videos.